Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about a project that we did this week, and it's an incubator so we can hatch some chicken eggs. And we made it out of some scrap styrofoam and duct tape and spare parts that we had, so it wouldn't be too expensive. And right here, as you can see, we have a Wi-Fi smart switch, and what that does is it measures the temperature and humidity of the incubator, and we're gonna put a video on how we soldered it and programmed it in the description below. And inside we have a sensor and a styrofoam block, and what the styrofoam block does is it stops the sensor from doing measuring radiant heat from the heater that we have in there, and like I said earlier, the sensor it measures the temperature and humidity inside the incubator. And for our heating, back there we have a reptile heater, as you can see, and it's good to use a reptile heater, but if you don't have one, you can use a normal light bulb, just not an LED, because those don't emit that much heat. Well, they don't emit any heat. And what's good about the reptile heater is that it doesn't emit any light, it just emits heat, so it doesn't bother you at night when you're trying to sleep, and the light bulb would. And then in here as well, we have a fan, and the fan, what it does is it keeps the air inside the incubator circulating, and so the incubator stays all one temperature, and not like it's hot over here and then cold over here. And it also cools down whenever it's hot. It cools down the reptile heater, so the incubator doesn't overheat. And then we have a egg carton with all our eggs in there, and then a brick. And what that does is whenever we're turning our eggs for the first 18 days, we can turn them all at once, and we don't have to turn them like one by one fancily. And then now we are going to show you how we programmed it and how to do it, and how to keep it at 99 degrees to 102 degrees and not to go below or over that. And we'll see you there.
Hello, we're going to show you how we programmed the temperature control in the incubator. What we did is we hooked it up to Home Assistant using MQTT, and because we're using that Wi-Fi smart switch. What we did is we created a tab called Incubator, and we put 4 different indicators on it. The first indicator is the incubator temperature. And so this you want to keep between 99 and 102 degrees Fahrenheit. It's the ideal temperature for chicken eggs. The next indicator is the humidity. And for the first 18 days, you want to keep the humidity between 50 and 55%. Then we have the incubator heater. This is a switch. This tells us when the incubator is turned on or when it's turned off. This will be controlled by the automation I'll show you in a minute. And this last one is a special one we created called temperature increase. And what this does is when the temperature is rising, as you can see here, it shows detected and has a little icon of a radiator with lines of heat coming out of it. And when the temperature is dropping, like you saw earlier, it'll say clear, and then the radiator will be blue and it won't have the heat coming off of it. So I'll explain how I created all of these. Robbie helped me with this, so this is a nice experience for him as well. So what you do is you start in the configuration YAML, and the way I set up mine is I separate all of my different things into different files so they don't get all jumbled into one file. So all my groups go into groups YAML, automations go in automations, scripts, etc. So the first one let's start with is the switch. I'll go ahead and open that up. That's in switches YAML. Alright, So let me close the greenhouse. Okay, so this is the switch that we created for the incubator. We call it incubator heater. And basically you have to update the state topic and command topic to the name of your device. We call it incubator. So all we did is we just change this value in here to incubator. The payload is either on or off. That means the switch is on or it's off. Okay. And retain means if we lose connection and it comes back later, it's going to remember what the state was. Okay. So that's how we give it access to the switch to turn the heater on and off. The next thing we need access to are the sensors. And like I mentioned, there's two sensors that we have on that particular device. One is the temperature and one is the humidity. And similar to the last one, we have a state topic that we need to update. And the state topic needs the name of the switch, which we call the incubator. So it's tele incubator sensor for both of those, tele incubator sensor. Value template, this is just whatever your device gives, and the particular device we're using gives this value template. It says value JSON. It has the model number of the sensor, and it has dot temperature for the temperature and dot humidity for the humidity. And the last thing you need to tell it is the units of measure. So for temperature, this particular device measures in degrees Celsius. And the nice thing about Home Assistant is if it sees a unit measure of degrees Celsius, it'll automatically turn that into, convert it into degrees Fahrenheit for you. So I don't have to do the conversion myself. You know, if I'm in the US, it'll do this conversion for me. So even though it's measuring in degrees Celsius, I get to see it on my dashboard in degrees Fahrenheit like I like. Okay, then the other thing is the incubator humidity. Its unit of measure is just percentage, and you can see that it has the percentage as the unit of measure on it. Okay, so we've covered the switch for the incubator heater, the temperature, and the humidity. The last thing you need in order to control the incubator is you need to have an automation. You need to tell it when to turn the heater on and when to turn the heater off. So for that, we'll go to the automations YAML, and I'll start with the ones that Robbie helped me create here, which we had incubator cold and incubator hot. These are the first two automations that we created. Basically all it does is it says, essentially this one says, if the incubator temperature is below 99 degrees, turn on the incubator heater. That's what this trigger says. The next one says, if the incubator temperature is above 101 degrees, turn off the incubator heater. When we originally wrote this, we had, if it's below 100, turn it on. If it's above 100, turn it off. And the problem that we had with that was the temperature would keep going down even when it was off, and it would keep going up whenever we turn it off, it would keep going up. And then whenever it's going down, we turn it on, but it'd still keep going down. It would be fluctuating between something like 56 and 104. It was like wildly just back and forth, up and down, up and down. It wasn't stabilizing in a tight pattern. So if you look over here, what we managed to do is get this nice tight pattern. And the way we did that, because before it was going like down to here and all the way up to here, it was just jig-jaggy back and forth. It wasn't staying at a stable temperature. So what we did to fix that, first of all, we added a fan, and that helped considerably. We added that fan into the incubator. It helped cool that. That radiator heat would cool off and circulate and get detected a lot faster. Whenever it starts warming up, it'd start detecting the heat a lot faster. So it wouldn't take as long for the sensor to detect the change. But the other thing we did is we set it up so that whenever it's going above a particular temperature, it would turn off earlier. If it's going down, it's below a certain temperature, it would turn on much more quickly. And the way we did that is, I'll show you. We created something called a binary sensor. Okay, right here, binary sensors. So what this does, I found this on Google. This is a pretty cool little thing. Basically what it says is, if the incubator temperature, and we measure two samples, in other words, we get two different temperatures that we've measured, one after the other, then we care about a duration of 2 minutes, 120 seconds, and it's going up even a tiny little bit. That's the minimum gradient. Says we're going up just a little bit. If it's going up just a little bit between two samples and within 2 minutes, we're going to say that the incubator is warming up. And we don't have to create one for cooling down, because if it's not warming up, we'll assume it's cooling down. So we just create this one for warming up. That didn't look too good when we put that in the user interface. We just had this little circle and it would say on or off. And so we had the incubator warming up on, incubator warming up off, which sounded a little weird. It wasn't really a switch. So what we did is I went online, I found out how to create a template to make it look nice. We have this nice little radiator here. It says either detected or clear, and it changes the icon. And so all you got to do for that is you create a template platform, and you give it a name. We call it incubator temperature increase, and we give it a device class. And the device class we chose is motion. And what that one does, it gives you two states. One is called detected and one is called clear. Then we have to say when is it going to be detected and when is it going to be clear. Well, it's going to be detected if the incubator is warming up. That's what this line says. If the incubator is warming up, we're going to say that it's detected. And well, obviously if it's not detected, it's clear. Then we're going to say how we want it to look. So we have the thing called the icon template. And what we say is if the binary sensor of incubator warming up, in other words, if the incubator is warming up, we're going to use the radiator icon. Otherwise, we're going to use the radiator disabled icon. Okay? So all of that together then gives me a sensor that I can use now in an automation. So it gives me a nice sensor to show on the dashboard, but now I added a new automation, which I'll show you. Let's go to automations. Okay. Let's show you the particular automations. Okay, so we have incubator on and incubator off. These are the two automations that we added. And so what this says is in a time pattern of every 5 seconds, that's what this says, we're going to check every 5 seconds, and if the temperature is below 101 and incubator warming up is off, in other words, if the incubator is cooling down, so if we're below 101 and the incubator is cooling down, we're going to turn on the heater. In other words, we're not going to wait for it to drop all the way to 100 before we turn the heater on. We're going to start turning it on as soon as it gets below 101. All right, this gets us turning it on a little bit sooner. It's going to give us a little bit more control over it. Then we do the opposite for incubator off. And this says, again, every 5 seconds, if the temperature is above 99 and the incubator is warming up, then we're going to turn it off. In other words, we're not going to wait till it warms up all the way to 100. As soon as it gets above 99, if the temperature is going up, we're going to go ahead and turn that switch off. And that gave me that nice, very tight pattern, as you can see here. It keeps it right around 101. It doesn't rise and fall too much. It stays right in that pattern. We had this dip over here. This was whenever we did the first practice video. That's why when we did the real video, we saw this. We decided we're going to not keep the incubator open the whole time so it doesn't drop that much. This actually isn't a big problem because whenever hens are setting on their eggs, they have to leave periodically to go get food and water. So it'll cool down and, so eggs are able to take a short cooling period. You just don't want to keep it cool for too long. So this is not going to hurt the eggs, this little dip here. The other thing is really nice here. One of the things that we have for the turning system was the eggs were in the egg carton, so we could turn them all at once. What's cool about that is we don't have to leave the incubator open very long when we're turning the eggs. You can see all the times when we turn the eggs, like at 2, we have a little dip here, but not much. We have another one at 6. We have a little dip, a dip down just a tiny bit. So you can see it's not really having impact on the temperature when we turn the eggs. So we just open it up, turn the egg carton around, and close it right back up. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. We're at day 3 right now. We'll keep following this, and probably the next video we'll do a follow-up video whenever we candle the eggs, and then maybe a third video if the chickens make it and they hatch. We'll show how the chickens did, and we might have on that video we'll talk about what we learned from the whole experience, and if things didn't go well, what we might do differently next time. So I'll see you in the next video.